book is based on a survey where men and women were asked if they got 80% of everything they want in their ideal mate, would they be happy with that? And women said, no, that's settling. And men said, 80%, I'd be thrilled. That's a catch. And so
80% of the women you surveyed is settling?
That's settling because, the question is, what actually makes us happy in long-term romantic love? And, that's the question that I explore in the book. And I'm a journalist, so I went out and I asked neurobiologists about chemistry, and I asked behavioral economists about demographics, and I asked marital researchers.
What are women too picky about here?
Well, I'll tell you, men and women were asked what would be a deal breaker for going on a second date. And men named 3 things. They said she has to be cute enough. She doesn't have to look like Angelina Jolie. She just has to be cute enough. She has to be warm and kind. And she has to be interesting to talk to. Those seem like really valid criteria.
Ding, 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 ding. Pretty simple.
Right. Okay, reasonable, right? The women came back with 300 things that would rule out a guy for a second date. And we're talking about like another 2 hours and maybe a free dinner. And they wouldn't do it. And there were things like he wore a brown belt with black shoes. Or we were having a really good time and I thought he was cute and he was interesting. But then he did this Austin Powers impression. And I just can't get that out of my mind and I can't go out with him again. Austin Powers guy could be the love of her life.
I've been saying this for a long time, man. Women just don't know what they want. And a lot of times once they get what they wanted, they realize that wasn't what they want. A lot of women are chasing this euphoria, this perfect life with the perfect moments. And it's like a fairy tale book or a movie. I get having fantasy and wanting to have certain things go your way. I get it. Everybody's that way. But I think some people just need more of those situations than others to keep them afloat mentally and emotionally. A lot of these women are just unstable. Like, life is going good and all of a sudden, they're dealing with something. Whenever you're in a relationship, you got to be somebody that can be relied upon. So, you need to be someone who's consistent day to day. You might have bad days here or there, but everybody would agree that, they would want to be with someone who is stable, not just financially. Financial stability, we hear about that all the time, but what about emotional stability, right? What about somebody who could really hold it together during turbulence or some time where you might have a little bit of something going on that you got to deal with? And it's, anybody could be there when the time is going good, but when it's really hitting the fan, or when you got to deal with something, or you got to make a transition or a pivot, and you got a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of pressure on you, that's what this, that's when you can really see who's built for this. But like I said, a lot of guys are realizing, like, okay, I understand that in essence, a lot of women, are just emotional creatures, and you're gonna have some ebbs and flows. That's understood. But when it comes down to someone who's just at the whim of their emotions on a day-to-day basis, and a moment-to-moment basis, you got to be adult enough, or have some kind of system to keep yourself consistent. Especially if you consider yourself independent. That's part of independence as well. Be able to operate independently and then be able to hold yourself accountable, self-reflect, and mature as you grow. My point is that with all these different conditions and all this different lists that women have as a standard for men, the 3 6s and all these different things that they're talking about, they could have all of that and still not be satisfied, but not be fulfilled. Start to make decisions, short-term decisions at that, in order to, chase a grass that's greener on the other side. For as much as women talk about loyalty and stuff like that, they cheat just as much as guys cheat. Something's not adding up. They think about what if, right? What if the scenario plays out where they can get everything they want? And so they're always, again, we talked about the phantom options, right? The phantom option of the guy that is the perfect guy in her head. The perfect guy in her head that you will never live up to is the guy that she could get if she stayed out in the market and didn't settle for you. This is how it works. You know what I'm saying? And this is, again, this whole fantasy, and there's nothing wrong with having fantasy, but when the fantasy overtakes reality, we got a problem. We got a problem, and more specifically, Those women that I'm talking about, they got a problem. You got this comment right here, man, from this gentleman, just a regular guy, 88, right? He says, even if they magically found 100%, they just be mad he's perfect. And I totally agree, man. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's no winning. You gotta get with a woman who's down to earth, right? Okay, nothing wrong with fantasy, but they understand the difference between fantasy and reality, and they're willing to play their part in making their own lives the type of lives that they want. And if they, they'll die trying. It's not like they're gonna place everything on you to create this fantasy world that they want to live in, and if you can't give them that, they're gonna go with someone else who they may think can give them that.